Hey everyone, I'm Jason Brock, and today I'm going to review 4 LGBT movies from Japan, plus one that's not quite so LGBT, but they called it LGBT, so I watched it, and you're going to hear about it. Hey everyone, it's me, Jason Brock. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and like and share if you don't mind. Today I'm talking about 4 LGBTQ films, and they're made in Japan and in Japanese, and I watched them and I'm doing a review of them as requested by my fans on Patreon. So the first movie is called Close Knit. Let me tell you the movies I'm doing. I'm doing Close Knit. I'm doing Taboo or Gohatto. I'm also doing To Each His Own. And one, what is the name? Kakera, A Piece of Our Life. That's right. So these 4 films. The first film is Close Knit. So Close Knit was really amazing, actually. Maybe one of my favorite films that I reviewed, because the story was like so touching. It's about it starts out with a little kid who has kind of like a bad mother, and the little girl goes to live with her uncle, and her uncle just so happens to have a transgender partner, a male to female partner, and so she goes to live with them, and she's kind of taken aback by the fact that there's a transgender person. She's never met a transgender person. And her uncle, I don't know if you would say he's gay or straight. It depends how you look at it, I guess. But maybe he's straight. But anyway, so the family is a little unconventional. So the little girl doesn't really know what to think about the trans parent. Well, not parent, but girlfriend of her uncle. And soon the trans parent is explaining to the little girl that she is trans, and she explains what that means. And she explains in more detail than I expected. She actually explains to the little girl, like, oh yeah, I don't have a penis, and, or I changed my boobs. I don't think she changed her penis yet, but her boobs. And she's like, do you want to feel them? I'm like, wait, you just asked the little girl she wants to feel your boobs? She hardly knows you. Anyway, that was interesting. Is that more Japanese or American? I don't know. In America, we would think that's a little odd. But the little girl is fascinated by her breasts. You can tell she actually wants to touch them, but she doesn't. I also noticed that the uncle, he and his partner talk about sex and sexuality pretty openly in front of the girl, which I find surprising, because we didn't do that when I grew up in America. I don't know if that's how it is in Japan, or if that's just how they're portraying this family. But it seemed a little weird to me, like, the uncle came home, and his partner's like, did you take a shower? And that was very fast. Like, I guess he had just gotten out of the shower. And he was like, yes, I did. And she's like, did you wash your dick too? And the little girl sitting there, I'm like, interesting. So the little girl, she's used to living in a kind of a messy, small place with a mom who drinks too much and runs away with another man and leaves her with her uncle, right? So, but she goes to her uncle and partner's house, and it's actually much nicer. So she's kind of living up a level. But at school, unfortunately, she gets made fun of because one of her classmates and her mom saw her in the grocery store with the trans partner, and the mom was very judgmental, and the classmate, the mom's daughter, the classmate is like the little girl's friend, right, at school, but her mom, the kid's mom, was so disturbed that she was with a trans person. She told her in the grocery store where she saw her, hey, you shouldn't hang out with people like that. They're very dangerous. Like, oh my god. So that gets around at the little girl's school, and then she starts getting bullied at school, called names and stuff. And another interesting thing, well, it's kind of sad actually, but so the mom who didn't like the trans partner, well, her son, the school friend, it turns out he's like gay because he tells the little girl, I like another boy here at school. I get a tingling in my groin when I see him. And I'm not kidding. That's what he said. I'm like, wow, this film is so open with sexual descriptions. But so it turns out that little boy's gay. And sadly, the little boy keeps hearing his mom say these things about trans and gay people, like they're weird, they're strange, and she has no idea her own son is gay. And this little boy, sadly, his mom finds a letter that he wrote but hadn't given yet to the boy he has a crush on. And he tries to kill himself by overdosing on pills. So sad. And also kind of weird because when he arranges the pills, they start moving on the table. That's the only part of the movie that does that. I thought, that's fine, but it wasn't necessary in my opinion. I don't know why they did that. But very sad. I did cry. But he didn't die. He tries to kill himself. His mom finds him. He ends up going to the hospital, and he's okay. But the little girl who has had a recent education about LGBTQ people from her own experience, she goes and she tells him it's totally fine. You know, just be yourself. You know, those people are weird who don't like gay people, trans people, by the whole spectrum, you know. And so, yeah, the little boy, I guess, feels a little more encouraged and accepted after that. But it was pretty sad. And another interesting thing is the trans character. Her name's Rinko, okay? So Rinko, she tells the little girl, I would say this movie is more about Rinko than anyone else, really, when it comes down to it. She's kind of like the main story, because they do flashbacks to her life when she was a child, and she was like a little boy, right? And at least physically, and she told her mom, he told his mom, I wish I had boobs, and started crying, you know. And his mom immediately almost is like, oh, that's okay, honey, because you are a girl, aren't you? And like she was like immediately accepting. And then next scene, she had knit him boobs, little fake boobs, and bought him bras. Can you believe that? I mean, is it really that easy for anyone? That's great, but it seemed a bit idealistic to me. So Rinko had an accepting mother, but when you see her mother later, she's actually kind of a rough person. She threatens the little girl who's staying with them, with the couple. She threatens the little girl and says, you better not hurt Rinko or I'm going to, how she said, kill you or something. It was terrible. But she's kind of scary. Kind of scary. Rinko's mom also asks the little girl about how her boobs are developing. And I thought that was kind of weird too. Is this normal? Maybe I just don't understand families. So Rinko works at a nursing home, and she actually, that's how she met her partner, the little girl's uncle. She works at the nursing home where his mom is staying, and where his mom is staying, and he sees her, how gently he bathes his mom, how gently Rinko, how gently she bathes his mom, and that's how he falls in love with her. That's what he says. And I'm thinking, okay, you're watching the nurse bathe your mom? That's not weird? Okay. Anyway, but that's how they met, that's how they fall in love. Very sweet. I mean, she is a sweet person, sweet character. Yeah. So later in the film, we see that Tomo, the little girl, she is getting more comfortable living with this couple, and her mom is still off with some man and hasn't come back yet. And it turns out that the couple her uncle and his partner want to actually adopt her. They talk about it, and yeah, it's the little girl seemed like she might be interested in doing that too, but we do find out later how the mom reacts to that. But also around this time in the film, you have a scene where Rinko, the trans character, takes is laying in bed, and Tomo, the little girl, decides she wants to touch her boobs after all, and she lets her, and then she holds her, and I guess Tomo is getting this comfort from a mother type character from through Rinko that she didn't get through her own mother. And later in the film, we find out, yes, the when they tell the mother when she finally comes back, they say, you know, you aren't taking care of Tomo, and we want to take care of Tomo properly. And Rinko gets really mad, and she's like, she's my daughter. And she gets mad at, I'm sorry, not Rinko. The mother gets really mad, and she's like, she's my daughter. And she goes to Rinko and says, you can never be a mother. How would you know how to take care of a little girl? You aren't even a woman. Like, she's quite rude, quite angry, and degrading to Rinko. Rinko takes it in stride, and she just explains, you know, I really love her. I want to take care of her. But the interesting thing is how when when Tomo's mom is leaving, kind of dejected, she's kind of thinking about it, and she looks like she might be okay with it, like letting them raise her daughter. But the little girl runs to her mom and is like, I want to go with you, but let me just stay here one more night. And she does. And they have their like final moments together. It's kind of sweet. They hug, and also Rinko takes up a little knitting that night. By the way, she knits a lot. I didn't mention that. That's why this movie's called Close Knit. She knits. And she said she knits because she can let her anger out through the knitting. Like with every stitch, she can be like, bastard, I hate you, you're so rude, or, you know, like whatever. So her anger, she can get it out through the knitting. And interestingly enough, I didn't mention this, but she's knitting these fake penises throughout the film. Again, more sexual imagery. She's knitting, I think it's 120, 108. There's a certain number she's going for. It's symbolic. And then she wants to do a ceremony where she burns them all to say goodbye to her penis. And the little girl is a part of it, and so is the uncle. And this is all okay. So yeah, the little girl actually starts helping to knit the penises through as the film progresses, and the uncle. Anyway, so yeah, they do end up doing the burning the knit penis scene together, and it's kind of sweet, but kind of weird. But anyway, so getting back to the end of the film, the little girl Tomo's last night with the uncle and Rinko. So Rinko starts knitting these fake breasts for her, and you don't find this out to the end of the film, but she gives her a box, a gift, while they're seeing her off in the taxi, where Tomo's returning to her mom's house, and they say goodbye. It's very sad, you know, but Tomo gets home and the house is clean for once, and the house has not been clean when we saw it earlier in the movie. It was very clear her mom didn't take care of things, but it looked like the mom was going to start trying. You get that idea. There's hope that things will be better, but Tomo sits down on the floor in her living room, opens the gift, and there are the boobs that Rinko knit for her. It was sweet, but it's interesting how we have a movie about a child. I mean, kind of about a child. She's one of the main characters, maybe the main character, and there's so much sexual imagery, talking about sexuality and sexual organs in front of the child, and even touching them. I can't help but wonder how normal is that, but somehow in this film it seemed okay. Just different than what I'm used to. So that's Close Knit. I hope you enjoyed the review. I'm going to the next film. It's Taboo or Gohatto. Two names, but Gohatto is the Japanese word that can be translated as taboo. So that's why you could go with either title. Close Knit, by the way, had another title, but I don't know the Japanese one. You can look it up. Anyway, so Taboo Gohatto is by a very famous director, and in my opinion, an incredible director. His name's Nagisa Oshima. He did some other movies, including Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. That's pretty famous. It had David Bowie in it. And he also did In the Realm of the Senses, which is basically porn, but very artistic. So porn, imagine a porn that actually has the quality of a good movie. I just watched it and it was really good. But yes, you are like looking at the penis and the vagina and everything. It's all there. But in Japan, that was very controversial, and he did it. But anyway, we're talking about Taboo / Gohatto today, and this film is about samurai culture in the Edo period, which is, what is it, like 1600s to 1800s era? Maybe, I may not be totally perfect on those numbers, but it's that time period with the samurai. And you may or may not know, samurai culture has always had a homosexual element to it. You can read about this in books, it's true. And this movie explores that. And it's interesting to see that from a Japanese director exploring that topic, because I haven't seen it very much. I don't think a lot of work has been done on that topic. But, so there's this young samurai boy. He's like 18, and at least he says he's 18. He might be younger, but he comes from this rich merchant family, and he decides he wants to join the militia, a samurai militia, where they train to fight, and they're going to protect the shogunate or something. It's called, the militia is called Shinsen. Anyway, so the 18-year-old boy, his name is kind of hard, Sozaburo. Okay, so Sozaburo, he is trying out for the role of samurai, to work in this Shinsen militia, and you have to fight your way to and be observed by the masters in order to get in. And it turns out he's actually really good, maybe the best person that they tested. And only 2 people get chosen, him and another guy, Tashiro. So Sozaburo and Tashiro are accepted. And so they go talk to the teacher or the masters of this Shinsen, and they say, okay, which one goes where should we put them? And the master of the dojo says, oh, I will take the Sozaburo, I will take him under my care. He'll be my apprentice, my assistant. And the other one, he can go somewhere else, right? And it's kind of clear that there might be some sexual attraction going on here, but it's not said outright, but you can kind of see in the looks that the Master Kondo, he is maybe thinking about possible sexual attraction, sexual relationship. And in samurai culture, that was normal. If you had a younger samurai under you, the sexual relationship might have been there. Maybe not always, but definitely possible. So they make that clear. They make comments on how attractive Sozaburo is. Quite a bit. Takeshi Beat, he's a very famous Japanese actor. He's in this movie. He's like second in charge under Master Kondo. And a lot of the film you hear his internal dialogue. He's not saying anything, but they're letting you hear his thoughts. And he's always thinking, this guy is so attractive. Is he going to cause problems? Will people fall in love with him? Like, he's thinking things like that. But the funny thing is that I don't think this kid is that cute. I mean, am I crazy? What do you think? Uh, I, is he handsome? Because to me, he just looks weird. But anyway, no insult. It's just, I don't get it. Why everyone's in love with him? Like, he's so beautiful, according to them. I think maybe it's because he looks feminine, like a girl. But to me, not that pretty of a girl. Sorry. Anyway, so they assign him his first duty, Sozaburo. They tell him, tomorrow we want you to behead someone who broke the samurai code. Can you do it? And he's like, hi, yes, I'll do my best. Meaning he'll do it. And he does it. The guy's doing that, what do you call it? Seppuku? Where you kill yourself? Hold on. Seppuku. Seppuku. He's doing seppuku where you like cut your guts open and kill yourself. Well, you may or may not know that when they do that, there's always someone there to behead you right after. And so he did the beheading. And he seemed to do it without any fear, any hesitation, or even being bothered by it. So I guess he found the right job. Later in the movie, he actually says that he joined because he wanted to be able to kill. Why? Not sure. This director, he's famous for sexuality and violence. If you watch his other films, you'll see what I mean. I've seen 3, the ones I told you about, and he makes beautiful films, but the sexuality and romance always seems to have some sort of violent element to it. Anyway, I like it though, it's interesting. Anyway, after he beheads this guy, the Tashiro, the other guy who got accepted into the school, he had been insulted that he wasn't asked to do the beheading. So he thought that he wasn't the favorite, right? So he comes bursting in. I wanted to see the beheading. I was upset that I wasn't chosen and I wanted to watch him do the beheading. I don't know why he did that exactly. I think maybe he was trying to show his interest in... this name is so hard. Sozaburo. I think he was trying to show his interest in Sozaburo because it seems like he has a crush on him. Oh, it's more than seems like. So go a few scenes later and you see that Tashiro is touching Sozaburo in bed, and because he wants to sleep with him. He has a crush on him. The first night he just does hand on the shoulder. But then a couple nights later, he actually tries to have sex with him, or says he wants to. And Sozaburo like pulls out a knife. You want to have sex with me? Like basically, he's like, do you want to scream, or do you want me to scream for you? It's kind of interesting. And he backs off. He's like, oh, I guess you don't like men. And he's like, maybe. He actually does like men, though, I think. He just doesn't like Tashiro. And that's the weird thing about this movie. Everyone thinks, all the other samurai think, that Tashiro and Sozaburo are together. But we know, we saw the intimate scene between them, that at least Sozaburo doesn't like Tashiro. But we don't know if things changed later. Maybe they did become a couple, but we never see that. But we do see all the time the characters like Takeshi Beat and Kondo, Master Kondo, and many other characters think that they are together, that they're a couple. Now, I'm sure that's what Nagisa, the director, was trying to accomplish, make us wonder what was really going on, because we never really find out. But anyway, so there's another character in the film, Takeshi Beat's assistant or apprentice, the one under him. So you see in samurai relationships, at least as this film portrays them, it seems like two people are often paired together, like an apprentice type relationship. Anyway, so Takeshi Beats, the second in charge, he has an apprentice and his name's Koji. Wait, let me make sure I got that right. Toji? Soji. Sorry, the name's kind of tricky for me. There's a lot of people. Okay, so Soji is his apprentice. And Takeshi's character goes to Soji, who's like at the beach, like kicking his feet in the water. Um, and he's like, "Hey, Soji, I have a question for you. Who do you think's the strongest between Sozaburo and Takeshi?" And Soji says, I think, I think it's Sozaburo." And so then suddenly Takeshi transitions to, "You heard about them, right?" And then Soju's like, "Oh yeah, I heard. They're in a relationship or something, right?" And Soju's like, "That's not my thing. I don't like that stuff." But and Takeshi's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." He doesn't seem to be into it himself either. Like the gay thing. So then Takeshi Beats' character decides to spar with each of those two, Sozaburo and Takeshi, the ones who are supposedly lovers, to see who's strongest. And he decides it's definitely Sozaburo who's strongest. But he also decides they're definitely lovers because he makes them fight each other and he watches and he's like, they're lovers. I don't know. I guess it's because Sozaburo didn't fight very hard. He like let Takeshi win. Yeah. So as the film progresses, you get Sozaburo having sex with other people in the film. Many people want him. He's just so desirable, even though I don't understand why. I just don't see it. He's also always wearing white, and I think that's significant because most of the other characters are wearing black, always. Black, what is it, kimonos? I'm sorry, I don't know what they're called. The uniform, like a samurai uniform. And, but he is often wearing white, and he's like the only one who is. Maybe that signifies his youth or innocence, but it turns out, in my opinion, he's not so innocent. But that's for you to decide, really, when you watch the film. Yeah, I think he's very aware of how attractive he is and how powerful that makes him. And I don't know what he really wants. I'd love to find out. Maybe reading the book that this is based on would reveal that, because I think it's based on a book. Or two. I think it's two. So anyway, yeah, you see all this drama about like people wanting to have sex with him, people actually having sex with him. And what happens, this is interesting. Okay, so two of the samurai are killed that liked Sozaburo. And, okay, my camera just came falling in on me, so if the angle changed, I apologize. So, two people who had feelings for Sozaburo were killed. And the second one that was killed dropped their knife I'm sorry, one was killed, one they was attempted to be killed, however you say that, and he ran away, the killer, but he dropped a knife, and the guy who was almost killed found the knife, and he's like, "Whose is this?" And they find out it's Tashiro's, the guy who has a crush on Sozaburo from the beginning, the one they were both accepted in the school together. You know, that one, who Sozaburo rejected. And what happens is, so they think that Tashiro is a jealous lover, and he's trying to kill the competitors for Sozaburo, because he wants Sozaburo for himself. And the Master Kondo, is like, okay, we need to kill Tashiro, because he killed one of our people and he tried to kill another. And they thought it was obvious because he dropped the knife, right? And so they set up this meeting. They tell Sozaburo, "You're gonna kill him." Of course. So cruel. If they're a couple, that's pretty cool, right? But that's what they tell him. You need to kill Tashiro because he killed one of our men. And I guess that was justice. And Sozaburo said, "Okay, I'll do it." And again, he doesn't even seem to care. To me, he seems rather callous and unemotional about it. So, Takeshi Beats' character and Soji, his apprentice, they agree to go as witnesses to make sure that it happens. So they're kind of at a distance watching when Sozaburo and Takeshi meet. But before they meet, Takeshi Beats' character, the one you always hear his thoughts, he sees some interesting like visions of Sazaburo. Am I saying that right? Sozaburo. He sees some visions of Sozaburo's character meeting other characters in the film, and this isn't really happening as far as I know. He sees Sozaburo meeting himself, Takeshi's character. He sees Sozaburo meeting Soji, his apprentice, and he sees him meeting one other person, I think, too. So I'm not sure. I think the meaning behind that is that we don't know who is the one who's guilty, maybe, like who actually did the killing, but any one of them could have been the ones who actually did the killing, because it turns out someone probably set up Takeshi, because Takeshi says to Sozaburo, when Sozaburo pulls out his sword, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." Right? This is like the real ending after the dream sequence or whatever. And before he kills him, Takeshi says, "You betrayed me. You set me up. That wasn't my knife, basically. It was you." But the truth is, we don't know. We don't know who it was. But Sozaburo, before he kills him, he says, "I'm sorry." And then he whispers something, moves his lips, and we don't know what he said, and there are no subtitles. We are not meant to know what he said. But when he says it, Takeshi pauses and dies. He gets killed. It's almost like he let it happen. He was like shocked or something. Now, I might be missing something. Like, maybe to you, you know what happened. Let me know if you do in the comments. But Takeshi says after it's over, the second in charge, he's talking to Soji, his apprentice, and he's like, wow, I can't remember if he's thinking it or saying it, but he's like, could we have made a mistake? And then they start walking back, and Soji says, "Oh, I forgot something, I'll be right back." And Takeshi's like, and he walks off, and he's thinking to himself, Sozaburo has destroyed so many people. He's caused so much problems. Destroy him. He's thinking. And then you hear what I believe is Sozaburo screaming out, "Soji!" the apprentice. And then, So what I think happens is Soji kills Sozaburo. And then, that's just after Takeshi was thinking destroy him. And this is the end of the film, and I think it's beautiful. Because Sozaburo was just killed, right? And right after he's killed, Takeshi, he's standing by Sakura, the cherry blossom tree, very beautiful, and he just goes and cuts it down, and it falls. And that's the end of the film. Oh, it gives me chills, because you get it, that tree is like Sozaburo's character, this beautiful tree, but had to be destroyed. So that's Taboo Gohatto. I hope you liked the film if you watched it, or I hope you do watch it. And watch his other stuff too. It's really good. The next one I'm reviewing is called Kakera, A Piece of Our Life. This film actually is one that is a lesbian couple. So this one deals with I tried to go a little broad on these reviews and, include gay, bi, trans, etc. I may not have covered everything, but I tried to be a little diverse. But so this film is about a couple, and it starts out with this woman who is with a man. So she's straight, apparently, or at least right now she's in a heterosexual relationship. And yeah, she doesn't really get treated well by the guy. They the movie starts. They wake up in bed. This guy is like in his underwear and his socks, and there's a hole in his socks. And then he wakes up, and she wakes up, and he goes to the wall, and there's like fake guns all over the wall. I don't know. There might be a real one on there too, but he picks up this like, fake gun. From what I can tell, it's like wooden. Opens the curtains, standing there in his white boxers, nice body, and he starts, shooting the fake gun, and it doesn't have any bullets, out the window, and it turns out there's some pigeons there, and he opens the window and they go flying off. I mention that because birds turn out to be a theme in this movie, a weird theme to me. I guess the meaning will get there, but yeah, birds. Pay attention to the birds, right? But they both, in my opinion, look miserable, bored. I don't know what the hell they're doing together. She looks like, I don't care. He looks like, I'm bored. Yeah. The next thing, they're eating together. Again, more boredom, more disinterest, in my opinion. It just, I don't see the connection. So, they walk together to the station in a kind of weird way. They aren't exactly walking together. He's like walking a little ahead, and then they say goodbye, and it really makes you wonder, what is this relationship? A hookup, a boyfriend? Turns out they're boyfriends, but he's seeing someone else too. I don't know. So next scene though, it gets interesting, and well, I'll just tell you, this was not my favorite film that I reviewed, because it's probably my least favorite of all the ones I reviewed. Sorry, but it's just ridiculous, some of it. Okay, so this next scene, the girl, she goes to the cafe, and she orders a hot chocolate or hot cocoa. And I also must say, I noticed this is a continuing thing in the film. She always looks she looks like she's so out of it, like she's on drugs, like she has no idea what's going on, no idea how to cope with her life, like she's like a victim of life, and she just can't live. I mean, that's how she seems to operate. So I found that kind of annoying. I didn't find her very relatable, like, as a real character. But whatever. So she goes to a cafe, drinking her cocoa, and she gets, like, a foam mustache, right? This woman across the cafe waves at her. Hi, hi. And she's like, of course, because she's dead, like she has dead face, drugged out dead face. And then the girl's like, and she comes over to the table, not invited, and she wipes the mustache off her face, the foam mustache. Ridiculous. Okay, in Japan, I can't imagine this happening. I guess it could, but it's just far-fetched. And so then she sits down at the table, and they're talking to each other. Well, really, this girl who came up to her is doing all the talking, mostly. And she starts saying, I like you. That's why I came over. I don't want to miss this moment because I like you. And, I just thought it so unnatural. And then she gives her phone number and says to call her. And then they say goodbye or whatever. I also noticed they used the camera angles in this film, especially in this earlier part. They tend to do these close-ups, kind of like this. Like maybe this close, or even closer with like this part cut off. So intimate shots, but annoying facial expressions, in my opinion. Maybe other people like this style, I don't. I'm like, these characters just aren't doing it for me. It does get better at the end though. They get a little more realistic, but in the early part. Anyway, so they say goodbye from the cafe, and the girl is just so excited to call her, even though she looked half dead the whole time. Then she calls her. And it turns out they're gonna meet. Ooh, exciting. So, after the cafe, Haru is the main character, the straight girl, or bisexual girl, whatever. She goes to her boyfriend's house after this cafe meeting, and Haru wants to stop seeing him, basically. But he's like, oh, that's ridiculous. Come on, we don't need to break up. And he basically ignores her. So apparently, yeah, she's going to try to break up with him many times, and he doesn't listen. But of course, finally she does. But this, back to this stranger, the lesbian character. I assume she's lesbian, I don't know. But she's lesbian for Haru, okay. She works in a prosthetic company that makes prosthetic body parts, including breasts for people who have lost or who want breasts. So she makes these beautiful breasts that you can put on your body that look like real breasts. And that's her job. And Haru calls her at work, and they decide to meet. And the lesbian character tries to kiss her, but Haru's like, no, when they meet, not interested, but she probably really is, but she doesn't want to kiss yet. And this happens at the lesbian character's mom's house, or her family home. So she brings Haru to her family home, even though her mom's there and her grandma lives there. And her grandma comes into the room when she's trying to kiss Haru. The other character's name, one sec. Oh, Rico. Okay, here we go. So Rico tries to kiss Haru, and the grandma sees, and grandma looks to me like she might be transsexual or something, but I don't know. They never really talk about it, but I thought maybe. But I could be wrong. Maybe she's just a woman. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, Haru's not so interested in the kiss at first. But then later, she finally actually kisses Rico. Haru kisses Rico. And that's like a turning point for their relationship. And about that time, I think it's right at that moment, they're like doing each other's hair. And they kiss. They both want to kiss. It's nice. They're actually not starting... Haru isn't acting like a half-dead person anymore. She actually seems kind of normal, but not completely, believe me. She never seems completely normal. But the boyfriend comes over, and Haru's boyfriend, and Rico, basically kicks his ass. Literally, kicks him in the balls, and then, pushes him down, and baka! Idiot! So she really shows that, oh no, Haru is mine now. Get out of our lives. So from here, it seems like they're having happy times, good times, fun times. It's like a montage. I think they go on a picnic or something. And then during this time, in the good times, you see birds, again, like pigeons or some kind of bird. But the weird ass thing is that one of the birds has two heads. But you have to look closely. I paused it. The bird had two heads. And maybe I'm crazy. Did you see that? Okay. So, the birds, the significance of the birds, what is it? To me, it seems to signify change. But I read someone else thought it meant freedom. This was on the comments on the video. You can watch this on YouTube. I don't know. I think it might mean freedom. Or maybe Haru wants to be free. But if she wanted to be free, then why is this in the middle of the fun time together? I don't know. Okay. So after this, though, there is a change. So that's why maybe it signifies change. Haru is starting to feel bored or something. Okay, so after this time, Haru ends up going back to her boyfriend's house. I'm not sure why. I don't understand why she went back to her boyfriend's house. But she did. I guess she wasn't committed to Riku yet, completely. And then they have sex, Haru and her boyfriend. But it kind of seems like rape at first, but then he says, I love you, and she goes along with it, and I don't know if it's rape or not. It's weird. I don't know. But then we go to the next scene, And Haru and Riku are eating and drinking at a izakaya, which is like a bar in Japan, with food. Anyway, they get in this big fight because Riku's like, "You saw him," and then she's like, "Yeah, I saw it," or whatever. And they start screaming at each other like ridiculous. I've never seen this in my life in an izakaya or a bar here, because I live here, right, in Japan. Never seen that before. But anyway, these two are screaming at each other. And then Haru leaves, and Riku is talking to herself at the table. "I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to hold you in my arms forever," or something like that. Not buying it. Oh yeah, so after the fight, Riko goes to a lesbian bar or gay bar. I think it looks like a lesbian bar. And she sees one of her clients, prosthetic clients, that she made a breast for. And there's some kind of chemistry between them, even though the client is much older than Riko. But it makes you wonder if maybe they were sexual before. I don't know. But you just see them getting really close, and it seems like something had happened, but then scene is over. The next thing we see is Haru with her boyfriend. Again, to tell him that they're through. But as she's leaving, she falls on her face and breaks her nose or something, goes unconscious, I think. And the boyfriend is really great, really cool. And he like flips her over or whatever and starts kissing her bloody face. Then starts fucking her. And she, at first I think she's unconscious. But I think she's actually conscious and just not responding. I don't know. It's so confusing. Again, I think it's rape, or I thought it was rape, but then it looks like she just was like, "I don't care." I don't know. Anyway, that was a weird scene. Okay, so after that, we see Riko at her clinic again where she makes the prosthetics. And she gets a call from that client that she saw at the lesbian bar, and she agrees to meet her. But then she gets a call from Haru saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I want to see you again." And so she's like, "Oh my god, I want to see Haru." So she runs to the cafe where the client is and is like, "I'm sorry, I can't see you. I need to see Haru." And she's also like, "I can never meet your needs or fill the hole inside you." Not the hole. The void or whatever. And the client is sad, and I don't care. So Riko leaves, and she goes to see Haru. Oh, and my bad. Okay, that's where they do the makeup, and Haru actually kisses Riko for the first time. Sorry, and that's where Riko kicks her ex-boyfriend's ass when he comes over. Okay, so I was a bit wrong on the timing, and then they have the happy thing. Where the bird and the two-headed dove is. Oh, so an interesting scene that happened after this was Haru goes out with her friends. Apparently Haru and Riko are like living together or staying together a lot at this point. And Haru decides she's going to go see her school friends, and they go to a bar and they're drinking. And Riko gets so jealous for no apparent reason. I don't really know why. And she gets so angry and jealous. She shows up at the bar, which, by the way, I have no idea how she knew where it was. But she looks like, so angry, like, "I'm going to kill you," right? To Haru. And then it's weird because she walks in and the friends are like, "Oh, another girl, great." Almost like they don't even notice how angry she is. And then Haru hugs her, or no, Riko hugs her. And then they just start drinking together, and it's weird. It's like it wasn't completely thought out or something, this scene. I don't know what the intention was, but anyway, that was a weird scene. So, getting closer to the end here. Almost there. Okay, so Haru drops the ring. Riko had given her a ring, and Haru drops it down the drain, and she's looking for it, and she can't find it. And then it just seems like Haru is really miserable, and, I guess they're bored with each other, don't want to be together anymore. And I haven't seen the birds yet, but they're coming. So it turns out like Riko gets with that client, and there's a scene where she's touching her breast and she's like, it's so soft. But Riko had said earlier that she liked women because they're soft, and I think there was some meaning behind that. Haru was soft to Riko, and her breasts were real, and her client's breast was not real but soft. And I think it kind of signified that her love for Haru was real, like her breast was real. Her love for the client was obviously not as important to her as Haru, but she settled for the love that wasn't as real, which is kind of like the breast that wasn't as real. Oh yes, I think that was the deep meaning there. But in the end, let's see. Well, that's about it. They end up not together, and you see Haru in an apartment at the end of the movie, and she sees a flock of birds, a big flock of birds flying. What does that mean? More change, freedom? I don't know, because I'm not getting a significant meaning here. If y'all know, please tell me in the comments, because I don't know. I still don't really know the meaning. But I think in this film the birds were important, but just don't understand them. But let me know what you think. Did you like this movie? I didn't really like it that much. It was okay, but yeah, not my favorite of the bunch. Okay, and now for the last film. This one's called To Each His Own. And it also has a Japanese title. I think it's Chotto, Shigoto, Yamete, Kudasai, something like that. I'm going to quit work for a little while. So the name is not similar at all in English. It's To Each His Own in English. But, so this film was really, really good. I really liked 3 of the films. It's just that one, excuse me. I really liked most of the films I reviewed. It's just that one that I didn't really like. But this one is a beautiful story about a man who is being overworked. And he works at what they call a black company, I think. Not like black people, it's not like that. They mean like black company where you get overworked and treated poorly. That is a common term in Japan. So he works at a company like that. The boss is a nightmare, treats the employees like shit, especially him. So the main character is Yamamoto. He's the worker. And yeah, Yamamoto gets treated terribly, and he wants to kill himself because his life is shit, and I don't blame him. He works all the time. He doesn't have a love life. He doesn't have a good relationship with his parents. He lives in a tiny apartment that is a total wreck. But that's his fault, sorry. You know, but he's just so miserable. He doesn't really want to live. And he tries to kill himself by falling in front of a train. Now you could say maybe he was falling asleep early, but I think it was pretty apparent that this was actually intentional. He just kind of decided to drift off into the train, and he was thinking in his mind, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this anymore, you know. And then, just as he's falling into where the train is about to hit him, someone grabs him and saves his life. And that is Aoyama Jun. Jun is like, he's like, oh my god, you're my classmate from school. Do you remember me? It's so great to see you. And he's like really happy and hella hot, by the way. Really cute. Really friendly and nice and colorful clothes. It's like, oh my god, he seems so cool and like fun. And he's like, come on, let's go drink. Come on. And Yamamoto is like, huh? Who are you? How do you remember me? What? And, you know, he's coming from about to kill himself to being told, let's go have fun. But he does. Yamamoto goes out with Aoyama, and they drink together, eat together, and Yamamoto calls his school friend and says, hey, do you remember this guy from our class, Aoyama Jun? and his friend is like, oh, yeah, maybe. I think he was in our class, and yeah, he was in our class at kindergarten or something like that. And so Yamamoto's like, oh, okay. So I just don't remember, because Yamamoto didn't remember him, and he's like, how does this guy remember me from when we were so young? But then when his friend confirms it, he's like, okay, so maybe it's just I forgot him. And they get along, and they decide to see each other again, and they also have a exchange of questions. Yamamoto thinks Aoyama might be gay, and Aoyama is like, oh no, I'm not gay, I'm not like that. But he kind of pretends to be gay and like touches him. But I don't know if he's gay or not, really. That's not so important at this point. But then, so Yamamoto starts getting more happy because he's found a friend. He still hates his job, but him and Aoyama start going out together every now and they just tend to run into each other seemingly by chance, but it's probably Aoyama was trying to run into him, I think, because Aoyama was concerned about Yamamoto, that he was going to kill himself, and he wanted to help him. So he would go shopping with him, eating and drinking, and you could see like a friendship starting to develop, and Aoyama was always pushing the boundaries, like doing really fun and exciting things with Yamamoto, but they were kind of uncomfortable for Yamamoto, but good for him because they made him expand his horizons and feel happier. And you could see his confidence building at work because of all this, and just maybe more happy, a little bit more happy in life. But work was going so badly still, and it turned out that Yamamoto made this big mistake right when things were going well. He was going to get this big client at work, but he screwed up the contract. He made a big mistake, and his boss was so angry at him, and Yamamoto lost all his confidence again. And but then as time went on, he started talking to Aoyama again, and Aoyama started giving him more advice, and like that he should go see his family, and he should live for the people who care about him, because oh yeah, Yamamoto tried to kill himself again. And what do you know? Aoyama shows up right in time. And Yamamoto thinks like he's actually like a spirit or something at this point, like who is sent to save him or something. I mean, I don't blame him. This guy shows up at all the perfect times when he's about to kill himself, for example. But anyway, he convinces him to live, and Yamamoto decides to quit his job, and that's a big deal. And he decides to get back in touch with his family, who he had a bad relationship with. And Aoyama is really behind all this, pushing him forward, encouraging him to be happy. So it's kind of happy to see this, how this plays out. So when Yamamoto quits his job, though, he finds out one of his co-workers had set him up and screwed up his contract just so he wouldn't get the job, because she didn't want to work more and she felt jealous, I guess. But this part's a little unrealistic. Yamamoto, when he found that out, he just told her, thank you for all your hard work. I look up to you so much. And I'm like, dude, she screwed you over, and what are you, Jesus? Like, he's like so nice because he had just quit his job, so he just doesn't care. But I don't know, I would still be angry about that personally. So a bit idealistic there. But alright, so Yamamoto and Aoyama, they were supposed to meet right after he quit, but Aoyama disappeared. And Yamamoto's like, what? You know, I think he's still wondering, is this guy real? Was he a spirit? Because so many good things had happened because of Aoyama. But the end of the movie shows Yamamoto searching for Aoyama, and they find out, oh, by the way, Yamamoto had discovered somewhere in this timeline before he quit his job, Yamamoto had discovered that Aoyama Jun was dead. He had killed himself. And that he confronted him on this, and what did he say? He said, I am Jun, and he showed his ID or something like that. But Yamamoto was always questioning, is this guy dead? Is he actually dead? And he's like a spirit coming to visit me. But it turns out Aoyama Jun had a twin, an identical twin. They were both orphans, and they wanted to go off to some island or Africa. I don't know where they went. Some place to teach children English, and that was their dream, to go teach these children who were like them, orphans, but they wanted to help them and make them happy, whatever. But Aoyama, the one we know in this movie, his twin killed himself, and his name was Aoyama Jun. And this Aoyama that we know took his brother's name, and so he's saying he's Aoyama Jun. But you realize the reason Aoyama was trying to save Yamamoto is because his own brother killed himself, and he didn't want to see Yamamoto kill himself too. And it's very touching. In the end, Yamamoto gets a letter from Aoyama, and it says, I'm waiting for you. And Yamamoto knows where he is. He knows it has to be the place where those children are that he teaches, and of course it is. And Yamamoto goes all the way over there, leaves everything behind to meet Aoyama so they can be together. And that's the end. That's the happy ending. They meet, and they're going to live there and teach the children together. But is it gay? Maybe. I mean, would you go to live with someone? Is it gay or just a friendship story? It's on YouTube. It's called, what did they call it? Bromance. They called it a bromance. I don't know. I guess it's up for interpretation. What do you think? But this was a great film. And yeah, I had my crying moments too. So that wraps up this long video of reviewing 4 different films in Japan, LGBTQ films. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like the film, like this video, comment, subscribe, share it, whatever you want to do. Thank you for watching my channel, and I hope you're enjoying some Japanese LGBTQ film out there. Bye. Thank you.